I'm going to teach you two different kinds of felt tulips. One starts with this style of petal, and I have two different sizes that are clearly marked in my pattern. The center is just one small strip. It's very tiny, 1/2 inch. It's actually 1 inch wide by 1/2 inch tall, and just roll that around the 18 gauge wire. And then we're going to cut a 1 inch by 1 inch square fringe and glue it along the bottom and just place it right on the bottom of that yellow center, roll it up, cut off any extra if it overlaps too much, and then go to do our petals. So for each petal, we're cutting a slit at the bottom center of the petal and folding the flap over. This brings the petal from being flat to having dimension and popping and standing up, and that will help us shape the tulip when we glue the petals together. After all 6 are glued like this, we put glue at the bottom and pinch it around the center of the flower. This feels a little bit weird, but I promise you it will work. We just have to trust the process and practice a little bit. We're doing 3 around the center of this tulip and overlapping them as we go. And after we get all 3 on, we will go back and touch up with some glue. So we're just putting all 3 overlapping as much as you want to, and then kind of getting a feel for the shape once it's popped open even a little bit more. Now we can go back in with our glue gun and add some glue to glue the sides together to where they stand up a little bit more and hold their shape. This is optional. If you want more of like a free-flowing petal, you do not have to glue the sides together. There are so many different varieties of tulips that you can kind of go with whatever style you like. And even the color changes things a little bit too as far as the look goes. So for the outside layer, we're just gluing 3 more around the outside of this tulip wherever we like them. I kind of think about filling in those gaps where the 2 petals in front dip together. We can place that petal behind it and just fill in any gaps. But this is just providing a nice full tulip, and we can do some more gluing to get it to stand up and stay where we want it to if we like the look of it being just a little bit more structured. And I will show you how to add the back after I teach you this second style of tulip. So for this tulip, the petal is a little bit different. The center is exactly the same, where we do the center strip and add the fringe and glue the fringe around that center. But for the petal, we're going to add wire to the center. So I cut each of these larger petals for option number 2. I cut each in half for all 6 petals, and I like to use some longer scissors here. It helps me to get a smoother cut, just to be able to cut all the way down in one try. I am gluing a strip of hot glue, laying 22 gauge wire down on top of that hot glue, and then the petal half on top of that. So we're sandwiching the wire in between and then cutting off any excess wire. And we'll do this for all 6 of these petals. This will give us a lot of control to curve and change the look of the petal after we glue it onto the tulip center. Now for these, for this style, I like to add some shading. So that's what I'm doing here, using pan pastels and a makeup sponge. So this adds some fun definition as we have a little bit more going on with this flower. So we're going to glue these very similarly to how we did the first design, 3 around the center and then 3 on the outside layer, and just keeping in mind that this is a little bit bigger of a tulip, but you can change it around because of that wire and really get a fun flowy look. So it's just this wire and petals, wire and leaves is just a lot of fun, and the shading really adds, I think it takes your flower to the next level if you like this look. But I'm also all about simple, so just want to give you different options, and this second option is still very simple and very doable even for beginners, so don't be intimidated by putting in the wire. It might take a little bit of practice, but it's really not very hard to do, just a few extra steps. So it's a lot of fun. Both of these tulips end up being really pretty in a bouquet, and we'll just finish them out by adding a leaf on the back. But first, we're just going to check for any glue that needs to be trimmed off. I always have to do a little quality control because there's always little things I need to fix. So that's definitely a part of felt flower making for everybody, is to go back through and just kind of check and mess with it to get it exactly like you like it. We're just using a 1 inch circle on the back, 1.25 inch circle on the back, whatever size you prefer, and putting a little hot glue and just bringing it behind. We just want a little bit of green to cover the back of the tulip. The main attraction for the greenery on this flower are the leaves. So we have 2 large leaves. We're adding the wire in between. We're doing a strip of glue, no cutting, just strip strip of glue straight down the middle of the leaf shape, sandwiching that 22 gauge wire in between the leaf. And this usually takes me a couple of tries. I sometimes have to trim off a little excess glue or go back in and add some more glue. And that's totally normal. I do leave a little bit of wire to wrap it around the main stem. I did both of these separate, the same process twice, where I have 2 tall leaves, long leaves, and then I'm going to wrap them onto the 18 gauge main wire of our tulip. And you can kind of place these a little bit further down like tulips are, if you want to, or you can leave them up higher, whatever you prefer. But these leaves will just twist onto the wire, cut it with some wire cutters, and I like to place them directly across from each other and then come back in with pliers. Is a really important step to smash down that wire so it doesn't poke you. And then we've got our finished tulip with the felt flower and some really pretty felt leaves to add to a bouquet, or however you want to use it. You do not have to add a stem. We can do a wreath with these also, but they're just a beautiful flower.